Welcome to the all-new That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. On today's program, I want to talk about using Wild Apricot as a site for your podcast. I have a new site that I've been developing, and we've done some programs on That Business Network and how to navigate it. As I've been building the site, I've been challenged in finding resources for Wild Apricot for use of for a podcast site. Everything out there is centers around WordPress, plugins for WordPress, and PowerPress, which is the core plugin for podcast users. So, but myself, I was familiar with Wild Apricot from other ventures and decided to use that. I also like Wild Apricot because it's a membership website, and I want to begin to take in members and sponsors through the site attached to my merchant account, all of that stuff. And I know you can do that stuff on WordPress too, but I was much more familiar with Wild Apricot. So first off, what is Wild Apricot? A lot of people haven't even heard of what Wild Apricot is. It's a membership-based site that is you can use for memberships. You could use it to build your website, but its core feature is as an accounting system for membership-based organizations, and that is what people use this for primarily. But I want to talk today about how to use it for a podcast site, and hopefully some people will pick this up as a resource because I am finding very little resources out there for Wild Apricot and some of the functionality that I'm trying to do for it. So let's go over here to the website and take a look on it as it is now. So here is, if you're watching the video, and if you're listening to this on iTunes, this video is available on our YouTube channel, also on That Business Network, where you can see the on-screen visuals as well. So when you come over to thatbusinessnetwork.com, I want to take people through how I run the program. First thing, when we have new guests, we source guests through a number of ways. One of them is through word of mouth and referrals, but also through the Interview Me tab over here. This is where new guests come through, and you can install a software on the site from Acuity Scheduling that embeds inside the site, and it is an excellent scheduler here that has pretty much every feature you could think of inside of the scheduler. And so right inside here, you can also apply coupon codes, and you can also take care of the time zone differences right here by enabling the time zone. So when they get their updates, they get it in their time and not adjusted for whatever time zone that you're on. And so in my case situation, it's Eastern Standard Time. And so people schedule through there, and then I get an email, and then they go on to the schedule. And so now on the week of the show, let's take you through what happens. Right here is the instructions on how I run the program. We record the program on Thursdays, and then they come in, and then the show airs Monday through Friday based off of the recording. But what I do pre-market wise and post-marketing is what I want to show you here on this site today. So for the pre-market phase, I like to keep put up everything as an event. And so on Facebook, I will go over there to the fan page, and I will create the show as an event on Facebook. I email the link to the guests, and that's a good way to help get the show promoted and shared out. I can also do that on this site here. So by going up here to admin view, and this is the back end of the site, and coming over to the event list, which is over here on the far left, I can then create each episode as an event. And so by doing that, as you can see, here are the past shows. And so these are upcoming, and I can also make these restricted based on membership level once they air. Now, all new episodes air Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. on the site, free of charge. The video and the audios are always available 100% free of charge on iTunes and on our site. We're making some of the videos, not all of them, but some of them, part of the membership package available to members only, and I'll get a little bit more into that here in just a moment. But let's come back over here to the site, and let's click on one of these events. So we click on the Business of Restaurant Build-Outs with my friend Todd Whalen. Inside here, the title of the episode out, and again, this is all pre-recorded material, so I then give my show a title. I can then give it certain tags for SEO, but that's not something I'm going to spend a lot of time on. And the location is the site that I'm on, date and time that I schedule it. And then over here, you can put a variety of different things. Simply by going up here to the edit button, I can change what appears over there in that right hand column. And so that is an image right there. Down here is a description, and then at the bottom there I can put other stuff in here, and I'll get to that here in just a moment. And then when I save that, what that does is that becomes an upcoming event. So this is a way to pre-market your shows to your audience. And so let's go back over here to the public view. And then if you scroll down to the bottom, you will see underneath my player, you'll see upcoming shows. Right now there's one more because this is Thursday and I just have Friday shows remaining, and I load all the new shows on the weekend. So if you look at this on Monday morning, you'll see much more shows, and then they cycle down to the last show. But right now on the homepage of thatbusinessnetwork.com, down beneath the player, tomorrow's show at this time is with Steve Cesare of Cesare Ignite, $1 billion in sales, Cesare Ignite Your Marketing. And this is also set up that you can easily share this amongst social media. So there is my description available under the upcoming events tab on the homepage. And then at the top of the page here, you can see the sharing feature. So I could put this on LinkedIn very easily by just clicking the LinkedIn button right there, and it pops it up, and there he is right there. And I'll go ahead and share that right now. So I just put an ad up there on LinkedIn for the show tomorrow. It's that simple. I can also tweet it very simply by doing that. Put that up there and throw a few hashtags in there, always to get those verticals. So there's that. Business is a great thing to always hashtag. And let's also hashtag marketing. And then Cesare Ignite is, actually I know that's his Twitter handle. So I'm going to Twitter that up right there. So just some Twitter language to make that more effective, but then it'll be a link to the show event right there within the Twitter post. You can also share this over here on Facebook, and it can share within groups, or you can share it on your own personal timeline. You can share it on a page you manage, and there, for instance, is that business show, and then boom, tomorrow's show. And then boom, post to Facebook. That's over there now on the fan page of thatbusinessnetwork.com. And then it has the Google Plus tab up there at the top. And again, this is all very easy. Once your events are set up, you can simply share these across social media throughout the week. Whenever you're sitting at home or sitting in a car or somewhere, boom, put that out there. It's up there on Google Plus as well. So right there, easily pre-market your programs. And what's nice about that is when they air, they then move over to your past events. And you have a resource that you can then use to remarket. And also, if you have memberships, you can use those as different categories for on-demand content. And so let's go back over here to Event List. And you'll see down here all the different shows that have aired. And this doesn't even include That Business Show on the radio. This is strictly That Business Show 2.0, which began airing on March 6th. So I'm about 4 months into this new show, and every show that has been on That Business Show 2.0 is within here. You'll see a lock beside some of them. That means they are restricted to certain membership categories. Others that are not are available up here to people on demand. And so let's click on one of these that are currently locked. As you see up here, it's under restricted access. So if I click on restricted access, I can change it back to public, which means it'll appear in the public video section, and I'll show you in just a moment. I can make it available just for administrative views, or I can restrict it by category level, which is down here. I can make it available to all membership levels. I can make it available to just past guests who sponsor the show annually, whatever the case may be. I can control that from down there. Now, another thing that I do is after the show airs, the show is put onto YouTube, and then down at the bottom of the description, I embed the YouTube player. And what this does is that is where the videos on demand come from. So I pre-market it without this video player. After the show airs, I go back in there. The show is put up onto iTunes. I will then unlist the videos that I don't want made available to the general public. I keep certain ones up to the public, again, certain ones available just for members only. And then you can click on, you can embed the YouTube video inside of here, And then you can see that over there on the video page here, which I will show you in just a moment. Nice thing, or one thing I should say that you want to pay attention to here is embed this inside your site using a responsive code. If you just take the embed code off of YouTube and put this into your site, it's not going to be responsive. And when I say responsive, I mean that it reacts to mobile phones and decreases the size of it so that it's not overly wide onto the screen. YouTube videos, YouTube does not provide a responsive code on their embed code. But if you Google YouTube responsive embed code, something of that nature, there are a number of different articles with the code and how to embed that into your site. It'll give you some CSS that you would input into your site. And then for, if you're using Wild Apricot, that's as simple as going up here to website and over to CSS, which is underneath the website tab. And all website designs have a CSS location. Over here on the left, that is the CSS code. And again, this is available on Google, and you put that right there on that. And then you would put the rest of the HTML code inside of the box wrapped around the embed code for the player. And then you're going to have yourself a nice little responsive embedded video in your site that you can also control the membership options from. So let's go back over here again to the event list. And let's look at another one here that's coming up that has this one here, How to Raise a Genius, with my good friend Kimberly Wilson. This one here right now is not restricted. As you can see, this one is still open to the public. This one just aired this week. There is the description, but right now there's not a player, but I will put that in after the fact. And then it'll appear up here on demand. All right, so coming back over to here, let's see, event list, and then public view. Underneath the resources, you will see the public video library. Click on that right there, and then you'll see the videos that I've made available to the public. So I'll talk a little bit more about this and some of the other features and how you can use this as a resource for your podcast and some of the neat ways you can make your shows available just for members and non-members. So you're listening to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeagers. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeagers, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring-type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
And we're back to That Business Show 2.0. I'm your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes the show business. On today's program, I'm talking about how to use Wild Apricot for your podcasting site. And so if you're listening to this on an audio-only feature, you'll get more out of this by watching the video, which is available as a video cast on iTunes and also as an available video on our YouTube channel, and also available inside thatbusinessnetwork.com underneath the Resources tab. And so in that last segment, I was talking about how to go through the event list and pre-market the property. Set them all up as an event. And do the same thing in Facebook. I'm going to go through that real quick too. So over here on Facebook, inside the Business Manager page, is a place to add the events. So over here, you can see there's a couple of events that are coming up. And by clicking on the Create Event button right here, it then shifts you over to the event tab. And what's nice about that is that you can then get a link to share with your guests, and then get more mileage out of each of your show. Shows grow by referral and word of mouth. Some of them are lucky enough to grow through natural SEO techniques and tactics. That's a challenge for some people, especially in a very competitive environment. But set your show up as an event on your fan page. I put all the show cards on as the event photo. I resize that up to whatever that is supposed to be there. Forget the image size there. I give the show a name. The location then becomes the link of the program on Facebook or your site on online if you want to direct everybody to that. Put your start and end time right there. Category, whatever it is that you want. Description, always put a description. Don't leave those blank. A lot of people are losing opportunities here by putting in poor quality descriptions or no descriptions at all. You're missing out on SEO benefits. You're also missing out on audience benefits who don't know what the show is about. Simply seeing a title or simply seeing a picture doesn't tell the entire story. Put a complete description in there in your YouTube videos, your SoundCloud videos, audios, whatever it is that you're doing. Keywords on Facebook, they restrict them to certain ones. They don't give you a broad category of keywords, but you can drop in some keywords there. Free admission, kid-friendly, whatever it is you want, however you want to dress it up. And one thing I also recommend doing as your co-hosts, put any other pages that you currently have. But if you have people that, whoever your guest is, start to type their page and it'll come up. Like tomorrow's guest is Steve Cesare of Cesare Ignite. I just started typing Cesare Ignite and boom, there he is right there. And so when I set up his event, he is going to be a co-host too. He'll get a notification whether he or they respond to it is up to them. But this again just gets more mileage out of your show through Facebook and putting these up as events. And this also is an area where earlier this week I talked about radio versus podcasting. By pre-recording the shows, I can put this up here and pre-market these shows and actually tell people what it is that we talked about when the radio was live and it was unplanned, and sometimes the guests wouldn't show, and at least when they're pre-recorded they definitely happened, and then there's no X factor that could derail the show at that point. It's with with the guest not showing up, for instance. Put that up there, and then you'll get the link for the event. For instance, let's go over here and grab this one right here. Up here is the link here, and you can always just extra stuff up here. That right here is the event ID. All this other stuff over here is just a bunch of wasted space. So you can delete that and refresh that. And then that right there, take out the question mark there, is the link that you can then send over to your clients right there. A short, easy link that doesn't clutter up too much of their email. And then right there, get them to, and then ask them to share that across their social media. And just another way to help get more eyes onto your program, because podcasts need all the help they can get. It's a very difficult medium to grow and to develop listenership and viewership. Now let's go back over here to the page, That Business Network, and how this can be used as a podcasting site. We put those up here as events as well. Underneath resources, then we have the public video library. Now these are the shows that I haven't restricted based on membership. Again, all shows that are audio, 100% free, available on demand on iTunes, 100% free, available on demand. It's only the videos that are restricted per membership. And that looks like a lot of videos. There's about another 80 or so that are currently restricted or unlisted at this point. They all are made available free each morning with the new episodes. The guests have the link to them when they are unlisted, but for general public, when they become members, and they have access to the entire catalog of guests. So let's go over here to one of the programs here. Let's click on Take Total Control of Your Finances with my friend Damian Lupo of Total Control Financial. So this is what the show looked like when it was put up available as an event, and it's the same thing there. That all stays the same. The only difference is down at the bottom, we now embed the YouTube player. And again, that is nothing more than getting the embed code off of YouTube and then putting it inside the responsive script code, which is available simply by doing a Google search and adding some CSS. And if you're not, and I'm not even a web developer. I've built this entire site, and I'm not a web developer. I've designed a couple of sites. They've all been my own. Each one has been done basically by me getting in there, playing with the settings, Googling things, and doing my own research. You don't have to be a professional to do a lot of this website design. The SEO side of things, that takes more of an expert, I think, to get some of that positioned better. But just designing a site is nothing more than clicking and moving stuff around. And especially if you're not using a lot of HTML code or special scripts or CSS, these website development sites today are very, very, very easy. And Wild Apricot is actually a little bit more difficult than some of the other ones to understand, because this is a template-based site versus a drag and drop site, which is like a WordPress or a Wix or some of those other design platforms that are out there. It took me a little bit of time to actually understand Wild Apricot. My old website was designed using an old version of a GoDaddy, Dream Web Design, Dream something or another was the name of that program. That was where I got a lot of my basic knowledge, but then I had to elaborate, or I should say grow and learn more when I was using Wild Apricot. But regardless, this stuff I taught myself with nothing more than a handful of hours of investment each week over time. It's just one of those things that you want to continually grow and learn, because there's nothing more frustrating than having a change on your website that needs to be updated and waiting on your website developer or whoever to make that change, and when you could go in there and make the change in literally 5 minutes, especially just updating some text or a date on the home page. And so that's why I taught myself a lot of this stuff. Let's look over here underneath real estate. Real estate here on the site here has a tab that says real estate videos. And then from over here, you scroll down, and then those are the real estate videos right there underneath the subscribe on iTunes link here. So the real estate edition, risks of for sale by owner. Click on that right there. Takes you over to the site there with the embedded YouTube player again. So you can easily watch the videos on your phone or on your desktop. Now, what are some other things that you could do with this site for your podcast? So let's look under resources. If you are using Libsyn, which I highly recommend, it's Libsyn, you can then use certain features on their site to then incorporate into yours. So let's look at this past shows button right here underneath resources. This right here is a player that has all the past shows right here. This is nothing more than the Libsyn embedded player. Now let me come over here to Libsyn here. Let me redirect and let me go over here to that site. And I'm going to show you some of the features that Libsyn has. I just started using Libsyn in November too. I did not originally use Libsyn. I think I lost out on a lot of resources and things like that. But if I come over here to destinations, and you come down here to your web player, that right there, you get embed code. Click on that. That is exactly what I just showed you on the other site. You open up a new page, copy and paste that in there. Boom, everything that you put into your RSS feed now updates Libsyn, and then updates iTunes, and then updates the player on your site with no more effort than you adding the new file to your site. They've also got the podcast page. This here is thatbusinessshow.com, which is the site where all the shows are on just a broader scale. Just a more easy to find method right here where you can search at the top of the page. And so this site here is nothing more than me clicking a couple of buttons on Libsyn. And over here, if I come over here to the edit button, Click on that, and down there at the bottom is stuff there. That's all I needed to do to set up that page right there. You can even put in Google Analytics and verification information into the Libsyn destinations setting. So many great features over here that I just wanted to talk about how to incorporate a couple of them into the site with a Wild Apricot. Now back over to here, what else can we do? Let's take a look here. Public video library, your past shows. Of course, you can incorporate your blog inside of the site. And what's another thing that I also recommend to help get your downloads up is to make sure that you're advertising all of your past shows. So down here at the bottom of the page, past shows, this is something that I am developing. Clicking on their card here takes you over to their show with in this situation, I'm using the audio player. The reason I'm using the audio player here is to increase downloads. I want to get more plays, and if I use the YouTube videos, I don't get audio plays, I get YouTube plays. So right now my challenge is to get the downloads up on iTunes. That's one of the big goals of the program right now, and that's where you can help as a listener or a viewer by subscribing and leaving a review on iTunes. Another area of things, this is outside of just Libsyn, but take advantage of the Blueberry one-click subscribe button on the Android device. I think a lot of people who use Android know that if you try to subscribe to something on iTunes, it opens up Apple Music and it doesn't work for a podcast. Blueberry, which is BLUBRRY, now has the ability to subscribe to a podcast using one click on an Android device. They just have to install or have installed a podcast player, whether it be Castbox or Pocket Cast, Player FM, Podkicker. All of that is available for Android. So put a subscribe on Android button on your sites, and anywhere people are accessing your site. Subscribe on Android. Don't just use the subscribe on iTunes button. A lot of people can't subscribe on iTunes on an Android-only device. So some good information on developing your podcast and using Wild Apricot as your hosting site, and also some stuff on Libsyn. So we got a lot more programs on this show about podcasting as a resource. Please consider me a resource to help you with your podcast. Jamie at TampaBayRadio.com. You've been listening to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.